The tragic death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, killed today in a helicopter crash in Southern California. The retired Los Angeles Lakers star and his 13-year-old daughter among 9 victims after that chopper went down and ignited near Calabasas, California. Video from the immediate aftermath showing a fire in the hills as first responders rushed to the scene, and from the sky, a vast debris field, the wreckage still smoldering late today.
Tonight, tragedy in the hills of Calabasas, California. A helicopter carrying NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others crashing around 10 a.m. this morning, bursting into flames, killing everyone on board. The smoke seen for miles, fire crews racing to the scene. Eyewitnesses say they saw the chopper flying low and heard the engine sputtering before the crash.
Breaking news we're getting via the Reuters news agency that a plane operated by Afghanistan's state-owned airline Ariana has crashed in the country's central Ghazni province. That's according to senior Afghan officials. A spokesperson for the provincial governor's office said that a Boeing plane belonging to the Ariana Afghan airline has crashed in the Sadokal area of Dayak district of Ghazni province around 1:10 p.m. local time. According to Reuters, the number of casualties is unclear, but local TV reports say officials of the control tower in Herat airport say the plane was a property of Ariana Airlines and that it had 110 people on board and was flying from Herat to Delhi.
هواپیمای تهران
There has been a rocket attack tonight on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. It believes it was not the Iranians, but Iranian-backed militias. They hit the embassy. We know, according to U.S. officials, there were no fatalities. We don't know yet whether or not there were any casualties. But again, a rocket attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad by Iranian-backed militias. What does President Buttigieg do in this moment? What questions are you asking? What steps are you taking?
Well, first, we have to take steps to make sure that U.S. personnel are safe. And we have to look at a proportional response or preventative actions to make sure this can't happen again. And we should be coordinating with our allies in order to make sure that that safety is enhanced as we move forward.
And as this week's impeachment trial proceedings come to a close, senators are weighing in on the opening arguments made by President Trump's defense team.
I think this was a good day for America, frankly.
Republican senators say President Trump's legal team is off to a great start in the first day of opening arguments for the defense in the impeachment trial. Speaking to reporters at the Capitol Saturday, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott says the American people are finally getting to see the other side of the story, adding the public wants to see a fair trial.
Most Americans are in desperate search of a fair process. Whether you like the president or whether you dislike the president, when you're talking about something as consequential as impeachment, you don't want your emotions to lead you.
More than 2,700 people in China are now said to have been infected by the fast-spreading coronavirus, while more countries have reported their first confirmed cases. The death toll has spiked to 81, and more than 460 of those infected remain in critical condition. On Monday, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang visited Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, to inspect local efforts to contain the disease. In efforts to restrict further spread of the virus, Wuhan and more than a dozen other Chinese cities remain in lockdown as the Chinese government has extended the week-long Lunar New Year holiday by 3 days to February 2nd. The World Health Organization chief is on his way to Beijing to confer with Chinese officials about the coronavirus outbreak. However, the number of confirmed cases continue to grow outside of China's borders as well. As of Monday afternoon, Thailand and Hong Kong have each reported 8 cases of infection. The US, Taiwan, Australia, and Macau have 5 each. Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia each have reported 4. France has 3, Vietnam has 2, and Nepal has 1.
Qasem Soleimani, described by his Western enemies as the Shadow Commander, died by assassination, but his legacy lives on. Iran gave assurances at peace talks they wouldn't get involved in the conflict in Idlib, yet the Telegraph obtained recordings to suggest otherwise. Leaked recordings show how Iranian and Afghan fighters are directing military operations in Idlib. The province of Idlib is home to 3.5 million people. It's being pummeled daily by Russian and Syrian strikes, as well as ground forces.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been joining the climate change chorus at the UK-Africa Investment Summit. But while calling out the dangers of carbon emissions, more than 90% of the energy deals signed at the event were for fossil fuels.
In the short space of time that Boris Johnson has been Prime Minister, we already know he isn't always one to stick to his word, especially when it comes to striking deals. But this could be one of his quickest U-turns yet. Remember those comments at the beginning of the week, all about supporting clean energy in Africa?
To put it simply, not another penny of UK taxpayers' money will be directly invested in digging up coal or burning it for electricity. We all breathe the same air, we live beneath the same sky, we all suffer when carbon emissions rise and the planet warms.
Seems legit, right? Wrong. It's been uncovered that, in fact, the United Kingdom spent billions of pounds abroad supporting fossil fuel projects that will emit an estimated 69 million tonnes of carbon a year.
The Auschwitz death camp is recognised as one of the leading symbols of the Holocaust terrors. And today marks the 75th anniversary since its liberation from the Nazis. Survivors from across the world, including Australia, making the journey to remember those lost during one of history's most harrowing periods.
Railway tracks scar the earth in the tiny village of Auschwitz, where one of the world's most horrific mass murders took place, where humanity at its worst prevailed. Auschwitz, the German Nazis' largest extermination camp, still casts a haunting shadow. From 1940 to 1945, 1.1 million men, women and children were slaughtered, most of them Jewish, as the Nazi regime carried out its so-called final solution, ridding the world of European Jews.
They marched in silence. The photos on their banners spoke loudly enough. These are the bald facts. In 2019, there were more people murdered in Mexico than in any other year since records have been kept. President López Obrador chose not to receive the marchers, saying he didn't want to make a show. That's the same president who just the week before used his daily press conference to announce a raffle for the presidential plane. Mr. López Obrador's main strategy for solving all of this is a new militarized security force called the National Guard. But so far, it hasn't had much of an impact. And his critics have asked, why isn't he instead improving the police force that Mexico already has? Or the justice system? The vast majority of crimes in the country go unpunished.